Wow, that looks really darn good.
Hey, welcome back to Tripod's Garage. Well, as you can tell through the thumbnail and that little intro clip, we're going to be doing an upgrade to the Ender 5 Plus today. And what's that upgrade going to be? Well, we're going to replace the factory hot end with a MicroSwiss all-metal hot end. And you might be asking yourself, well, why would I want to do that? Well, chances are you may not need to or may not want to at all. What this all-metal hot end will allow you to do is print at higher temperatures. And then if you also do that in conjunction with replacing the brass nozzle with a hardened steel nozzle, you can also start printing abrasive materials as well in combination. So I want to print the PETG with carbon fiber, and this combination will allow me to do that. So yeah, you're going to ask yourself, well, there's a lot of other options now for all metal hot ends. Oh yeah, you're right, but honestly, in my opinion, this is an $80 hot end compared to 160 hot ends that I see out there, and frankly, I don't know if they're any better. So, and I'm not willing to risk my equipment on a clone. So, this hot end is actually sponsored by one of my YouTube subscribers. He was actually one of the first people to subscribe to my channel. His name is David Wilson, and some of you may know him. He's a great guy. I mean, really great guy. And you know what? He loves dogs, so we hit it off right away. And I mean, we have many email correspondence, and I'm telling you, you probably, if you're on YouTube or if you watch videos, you'll see his name pop up. He's an active participant, and I can't speak more highly of him. And I'm gonna put his link to his YouTube channel below, and just check out his printers. You'll be amazed. They are just amazing. So, and I am just getting to this care package that David sent me. I'm gonna throw myself under the bus on this one. He sent the second day air to me in January 25th, and I'm just getting into it now. But in all honesty, just like an average customer, I wasn't in the need until now to do a all-metal hot end. So I really want to thank David for sending this out to me. There's actually more in here than just that. So let's say we open this box, get going, show you what this all-metal hot end is about, and and get it installed and do some test prints. Let's get to it. Yes, there was a lot of stuff in that box. You packed it pretty tight, but today we're going to focus on a MicroSwiss all-metal hot end. Okay, this kit will fit a lot of basically almost any stock hot end on a Creality printer, and from the CR10 to the Ender 2, Ender 3, and all the Ender 5s. So yes, you're able to do just a stock replacement. It will use its existing wiring, and what you have in here is you have the aluminum cooling block, you have your titanium heat break, some retaining clips, an Allen key, and we have a plated A2 hot end hardened steel. So this is why I'm really interested in, because I am going to be printing some carbon fiber filament. And here we have your silicone stock that's wrapped around your aluminum heater block, and your retaining screw, and of course a nice little wrench. Now you're going to need some tools for the job. A Phillips screwdriver. You have the Allen wrench in here for the little grub screws that are in here. Let me get the focus. So, all right, and just grab your little toolkit from your printer, and you may want to get a Capricorn PTFE cutting tool. Come on, there you go. Running a different lens today, so let's see how well it keeps in focusing in and out.
And then you could use a, if you don't feel like using one of the wrenches that came with your kit, you could use a 6mm socket. Or if you have an RC car, and I found this kind of ironic here. Yeah, you know, I have a bunch of RC cars around here, and this nozzle fits right in. That's pretty darn cool. So, yes, it's I'm going to be using this. All right, let's get to the installation.
Now we're just going to move the gantry forward and lower the bed to give us some space to work. Nothing like working in cramped space anyways and trying to film, so let's get going. Now we need to heat up the nozzle. 200-ish degrees depending on the filament that you already have in there, and we're going to do this so we can remove the nozzle. Yeah, remove the silicone sleeve nice and carefully. It's going to be pretty darn hot. And this one has been degrading for a little while now, and it doesn't really want to break away freely, but let's take a look at this thing. Yeah, it's definitely seen better days. Well, I kind of ripped it too, so now we're going to go ahead and remove the nozzle. Everything is stock here. I have not done any upgrades, and this is of course the original Hotend and nozzle. So after we remove this, we're going to go ahead and cool down the machine. So make sure you just hit stop to the heating, and then once everything is cooled down, we are going to turn it off and unplug it. Now that everything is cooled off, you want to start by removing some of these tie wraps that might be getting in your way, give you a little bit more freedom to work. Now it's time to remove this cooling fan shroud, and to do that we're going to need to also remove the BL touch. So take a trusty Allen wrench that came with your kit, and we're going to remove the little Allen screw that's above it and one between the shroud and the BL touch. Now you're going to want to take an Allen wrench and remove the little grub screw that's holding in your heating cartridge. These shouldn't be too difficult to remove, or if they are, that means someone over-tightened them, so you don't want that to happen. And you see they're pretty darn small. And what we're going to do now is just go ahead and see if we can push on that heating cartridge and see if we can get it to slide out. You just do it from the other end, and you're going to also take a Phillips screwdriver and unscrew the thermistor wire that's on the other side. Next, we're going to remove our Capricorn tubing or PTFE tubing from your hot end. Unscrew your hot end and from the back plate, and this is what we have. Just a whole bunch of messy wires and everything dangling. Fun times. I'm going to go ahead and wipe off the end of my little heating cartridge here because it's pretty darn nasty. I would suggest maybe doing the same, because when we put everything back in place, I just like having everything nice and clean. Next, we're going to put the heating cartridge on as well as the thermistor wire. The heating cartridge just slides right into place. Again, we're using all the pre-existing wiring here, so it's a pretty easy install. MicroSwiss also has their own instructions on here. It's just as easy to follow along. If you don't feel like following along with this video, I have no issues with that. They have a little bit better equipment than I do to handle this. So you can see that I had the thermistor wire just looped around where the little hole is. You're going to take your Phillips screw that's provided and tighten it, but you do not want to over tighten it. You just want it snug. we're going to tighten down these little grub screws that hold the heating cartridge in place. Basically, it pinches it in place, the whole heating cartridge, and we just want to make them stuck. Don't over tighten these. We are going to tighten them a little bit further down once we heat up everything. So again, exercise in patience, people. Now we're going to put on the heat brake and just screw it in, and we're going to take our wrench and we're going to just make it snug. See a pattern here? Snug. Everything is going to be snug for now until everything is heated up, and then we're going to tighten everything down. Now we're just going to install the cooling block. Yes, finally making some progress here. We're going to just put in the 2 screws here, and we are going to actually tighten these 2 down. Yes, we get to finally tighten some down here. You got to make sure they're just nice and tight on against the original carriage here. There's nothing else to put on this carriage but the cooling block. I'm installing a hardened steel nozzle because I'm running a PETG carbon fiber filament through this, and it'll destroy a regular brass nozzle. Here I'm using my 4-way little RC car wrench, and it works pretty darn good. Use a 6mm or one of the supplied wrenches. Again, I'm just making sure this is just snug. You saw me back it off a little bit because I tightened a little bit too much. Here we're going to put the heating block onto the cooling block. So we're going to just slide this in, make sure the grub screw is out a little bit, and we are going to actually tighten this one down all the way. Now be careful, you don't want to strip this out. So just nice and just a little bit above snug will do for this. Let's get working on this Bowden tube. First, remove the coupler, and now we're going to give it a little bit of a haircut. We actually have extra material now because this does not go all the way through your hot end anymore. It's just going to go a couple millimeters down. So we're going to go ahead and trim it. I looked for where it looked like it was coming out of the old hot end. Trim it with the nice little cutters I have, and we're going to place it in. Now, if you haven't already, I would replace your Bowden tube with a Capricorn or tough tube because it could withstand higher temps and it's actually better quality in. So what we're going to do now is put the retaining clip in, and we're going to push down on your Bowden tube at the same time. Make sure it has a nice seated connection here. And we're going to proceed to the next steps. Plug in, turn on your printer, and heat it up. Heat up the hot end. Once it reaches 200-ish degrees, you're going to take your wrench and your pliers or your other wrench on the hot end. And so there's a little bit of a notch right where the heat break is, and you just twist opposite of each other. Nice and snug. Again, not too much. I mean, just really, just tight. We're now going to take the Allen wrench and we're going to tighten these 2 little grub screws. These will kind of make sure that heating cartridge doesn't go anywhere. Again, we just want to make sure that these are nice and snug. And of course, please be careful because your hot end is going to be nice and hot. I'm also going to double check that the heat brake grub screw is also tight as well. And we just want to make sure that everything's nice and snug before we seal everything up. Before you install the silicone sock, make sure that everything is cooled down. As you see, my fan is not spinning. That's because I already made sure the printer was cooled down and turned off and unplugged. So please be sure to exercise caution because these hot ends get hot. So now let's do the final reassembly of this. And yeah, I'm not a real big fan of these wiring this BL touchback in. What I do is I just line up the wire and I use my Allen wrench just to push the plug in place. Alright, everything's back in place. Let's go ahead, plug it in, and turn it on. Well, I know you're not going to be a fan of this, but you're going to have to re-level everything and redo your Z offset. Fun times, yep. Get that proper squish on your first layer. So let's go ahead and show you what filament I'm going to be working with. I went with this PRILINE carbon fiber polycarbonate. It's got good reviews, and my wife wasn't too happy with this purchase, but let's go ahead and start printing. Now you want to make sure that when you're running PETG that it's dry and no humidity. So I actually aimed a heater at my filament roll there. It actually helped quite a lot.
As you can see, I've been very busy testing. And if I was to go through all of this and tell you how I went from bad prints to good prints, it'll take over an hour. So let's do the short version. First off, I had a fan failure. Yes, replaced it. I replaced my hot end. And I have a hardened steel nozzle. If you don't adjust your Z offset correctly, maybe you don't adjust for a higher temps for the hardened steel nozzle, this is what you expect. This was at 215 and improper Z offset. .230 temperature and a proper Z offset. MicroSwiss suggests that you lower your retraction to maybe 4. If you don't do that, you're going to get strings. Still not bad looking benchy though. Lower it to 4, and you get a much better benchy. As long as your camera decides to focus. Now we got that awesome PLA out of the way. Let's go ahead and talk about PETG fiber. Increase temperatures. Increase my temperature for the material, the hot end, to 260. Bed temperature, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. Out you go. Let's take a look at these cubes. Why I went with 100. As I can focus, there we go. Look at that. Pretty darn nice, right? People, I don't think many people would complain about this. Till you look at the bottom. Yep, you got some curling there, in there, right on the corners. So, not good. Well, look at this one. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And the bottom. Looks good. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Next, we have the benchy. Actually, we're going to save the benchy. Save the boats. We're going to focus on our stringing tests. We got two. We got all the runner-ups and behind. Nice forestation here. Branches everywhere. So how did I get from this to this? And mind you, all the bases look good. So we're not even going to talk about the bases. Love the motorcycle running in the background. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say, let's get rid of all these. Oh, move the forestation over. So, I have a video here of the benchy before post-processing and after post-processing. Let's take a look at that.
In all honesty, there's really not much going on here. There's very minor stringing, but my main concern is the blobs, okay? Stringing, you always get, you know, these little wisps and stuff you can get away with, but look at the blobs on the front here. That's what I'm trying to really focus to get rid of. But, you know, otherwise, this is pretty darn solid. Lines are pretty darn smooth, and frankly, people have worse benchies out there, and they would kill to have it. The bottom, yeah, that was my own fault. I ripped it off before it was ready, and the center of the D came up with it. So now let's look what it looks like after post-processing. All I did was remove some of the wisps and some of the blobs. As you can see, it looks pretty darn good. I mean, but again, we're trying to minimize any post-processing as possible. And you know, leave a comment below if that's even worth pursuing to get more perfection out of your prints.
This had post-processing. This one came right off the bed. No post-processing. Well, you got this little thing right there. Gone. That does not count. Pretty darn amazing. Next, figured I'd do something a little bit more mechanical. Apologize for the birds in the background. Garage doors open. Pretty darn nice. Don't worry, we're going to get to these two things. They're nice little tests, but we're going to move them off to the side. I decided now I'm going to try to print a direct drive bracket. Yes, I had some failures. I'm sorry, when I'm going to be staring at a part for a really long time, I want it to look decent. And this doesn't really look decent, except for some overhangs right here. No, that's not acceptable. But we should be able to get rid of that. I really hate supports. Got a little bit better on this one. Come on. Come on. You can do it. There we go. And this had a lot of post-processing, And it had some failures. Look at a nice blob right there. It was just ugly. All right. So, how did I get from this to this? Well, I say that we hop on the computer right now and we'll save this one for last. Let's go look at my profile, my Cura profile.
Okay, before I get into my settings here, let's just say that it seems to be a rule of thumb here with the stringing test of what not to do. And let me just tell you, I did what you most likely shouldn't do for your stringing test. But this was the only way to guarantee that I actually, not even guaranteed, but to possibly get the print results that I wanted. So right now you're going to see, here's my stringing test down here. I almost all my prints minus 1 or 2 were set at 0.12. So let's take a look of what all my settings, and then I'll show you my last setting. That might be questionable to some people, to the loyalists out there. Nothing too obvious here, right? You got the 1.6 millimeter wall count, line count. This stringing test requires an infill density of 100. Okay. Now, I went through all these with the calibration cube. That was how I tested my temperature settings. Wound up that with everything said and done, 260 for this was for this filament was best temperature. And a build plate, I went from all the way from 60 and all the increments of 5 to 100. 100 seemed to be the best. And we scroll down here, we will go to now speed, right? So typically I print at 60 millimeters per second for the most part on everything, but here with all the testing that I did my print speed at 20, my wall speed, or print speed at 40, wall speed 20, 20, 20, 20. Now, this was my first real change here, was my travel speed. Okay, from when it moves from one point to another, I bumped this up to 200. I figured, okay, this was my first real thinking about how to get rid of the stringing and the blobs. Okay, then my initial layer speed, I slow those down all the time. So you'll see it at 15 and a Z-hop speed. We'll get back to that. So retraction speed, 50, 50. Fans speed, 30. I went from 100% down to 0. I actually printed a lot of things with 0 and it came out really good. But you know what? I found too that the fan speed helped with keeping the blobs in check. So, and my regular fan speed will hit at layer 10. Now let's talk about my retraction. Right? When you have a all metal hot end now, for MicroSwiss they suggest starting at around 4. My retraction before with the stock Creality hot end was 7.2. So I knocked it down to 4. I went all the way from 4 to 0. I found out that my retraction was pretty good at around 2.5. So you'll see here is the culprit here. And this is what helped me get rid of the stringing, and I enabled Z-hop when retracted. So that is the saver. I mean, this saved a lot of the headaches. I mean, I was a weekend and I was not getting rid of the stringing at all. As soon as I enabled that Z-hop when retracted, man, everything looked so much better. I didn't have any blobs. I didn't have any stringing. I never thought I would have to enable this, but it makes sense. Instead of dragging it across, it lifts it up a little bit, and then we're printing. So yeah, it's to me, that's what I enabled to get all these prints to look as good as they have. So I did this, and you saw the results with my my stringing test. There were none, absolutely zero. I went from a little blob and did another test, and clean sticks all the way up. Now, this is actually the setting for everything now. The only thing that I've changed for the between this and the benchy was the infill density. Okay, so let's go ahead and we will get rid of this, and we'll put the benchy in. So with the benchy, again, everything will be the same. So except the infill density was 40. So, and then hit slice, and this was done. That real nice benchy was done at 0.12 as well. So now I decided, okay, this benchy turned out amazing, absolutely amazing. I wanted to try something different. So I decided I wanted to do something more mechanical. And I went with a direct drive extruder mount. Looks pretty nice. This requires an infill density of between 90 and 100. So I just said, you know what, we'll just do 100 because it's with the strength. And I tried printing this with and without supports, and I was not happy. So if I went in here and I typed in supports right here, I mean the recommendations is just to do anything to the bed for support, generate support, all right, touching build plate, and I hit slice. Well, there's nothing in the big holes right here, and it's only at the bottom. You see the little supports. Sorry, let me get this centered here. You see them right there at the bottom. That's it. 2 supports. And this is still, all the prints look the same. The circles were garbage, and I was like, okay. Then I decided to try something different for the supports. When you click on support, you'll see here this. And then, but if you scroll down, you'll see something that says experimental. And it's called tree support. Now, let's do a slice of this. Now this support looks rather different. The 2 overhangs that I was worried about, well, actually not real overhangs, but I mean you got a small one here, where I'm always having at the top of these circles some goop. You know, it just looks horrible. I really like the idea of what this is doing. It's creating a tree branches. I mean, how cool is that? So let's see what this print looks like now. Again, it says a 5-hour print, but I like all my prints to be nice and tidy. So let's see what that looks like.
So this is the first time I've ever used tree supports. This is at a 0.12. Like I said, there's no reason why you can't get better prints. And that one's still on the bed, but yeah, anyways. So with this experimental tree support, let's see how this is for taking off. Came right off. Amazing. And much cleaner. How about this bottom piece? Falls right off. Look how much cleaner this is already. So let's take a look. We got a little bit of a string back here. Not that big of a deal. But man, look at how this came out. We'll just cover that ugly support. Yes, there's still a little bit of post-processing to do, but look how easy it comes off. I am amazed by just enabling that Z-hop, how much cleaner this came out. Z-hop was enabled on this part and this benchy and this. So there you have it. I would suggest, with my profile, you experiment with your own. And if you think that's cheating, enabling Z-hop, then, well, good luck printing. So, I don't. I think the results speak for themselves. I'm really digging that tree support. As you saw, even though without the tree support, my edges were far better. And the tree support didn't even come in that far. So, amazing results. And where are my final thoughts? Oh, just laid right underneath my chair. Say hi to everyone there, Bear. He's such a good dog. Anyways, what are my thoughts on PETG fiber? Oh man, that is some amazing stuff. Did I face challenges? Yes, I did. And I didn't tell anyone, but my garage is like, it is 44% humidity in here. So yeah, not fun times with printing with filament that absorbs moisture. So that's why I put the heater next to it. I'm printing next to slow, so it gives it a chance to dry out before it goes and starts laying down on the bed. And that's another thing, is that slow. That was one of the key things, was printing slow, because if I sped it up anything more than 50, I was seeing stringing and blobs. Again, my settings for the Cura Profile may not work for you, but hopefully it's a good launching point. And I know I'm going to get criticism for the stringing test. You know what? I really don't care about the criticism, because it's a feature within Cura to enable the Z-hop, and you know what? It solved a ton of my issues, okay? And do I need it for PLA? No, I don't. But do I need it for this PETG fiber when I'm printing? Yes, for me, in my environment, I do. And I'm running with it, well, crutching with it. So, and I mean, the quality of prints just speak for themselves. I mean, if I'm going to look at a part on the printer or anywhere else that's exposed, I really want it to look good. And a lot of people won't be printing as fine detail as me, but it's also nice to see what the printer's capable of doing. So that's all I have for you. So I really appreciate you tuning in, and if you are new here, I appreciate you watching. If you're subscribed already, thank you. If you want to subscribe, thank you. All I can say is, be safe out there, and if you catch this video for July 4th, I appreciate you spending time watching on July 4th. And we'll catch you the next time on Tripod's Garage.